everyone, and welcome to this grant. More specifically, Sidereel, where I talk with someone or someone talks to someone about a movie that isn't particularly well known. Today, we're gonna talk about a movie that we hold very close to our heart, Braindead.
Or Dead Alive, as it is in America.
For your Yankees.
Yankee bastards.
Braindead is about Lionel, who takes care of his overbearing mother and tries to balance his life for her. But one day, someone tells a prophecy that
Paquita
will fall in love with Lionel, and she falls for him and he falls for her, leading to them visiting a zoo where Lionel's mother gets bitten by a rat monkey that eventually turns her into a full-on zombie.
Zombies never actually mentioned in the movie. Or undead, or any
It
name
is
for them.
in the graveyard when that guy's pissing on Lionel's mother's grave.
Oh yeah!
Comes up, grabs his dick, and he goes... And then he... Well, I wouldn't call it dry humping because there's a lot of blood.
Wet humping.
I mean, we can start a little bit by talking about Lionel's mother, I suppose.
Oh, manipulative woman. Like, she wants to keep her boy for herself, but
Which becomes very obvious towards the end. But I will say, she does a great job presenting this woman not as incredibly evil to begin with, but just as like a very manipulative and cruel parent. And that is commendable for a little slasher movie that was for the longest time just known as one of the bloodiest movies ever made.
Oh fuck yeah.
I think it's very good in that aspect. Like, how they represent her. First time you see her, she's standing there with a giant knife, and it turns out she's just gonna open like a letter with it. It's great at just setting up the character as terrible immediately.
Yes.
And you immediately get the sense that while she is bad, she's not like cartoonishly evil.
No. She's still just a mother. There's nothing like evil, inherently evil about her.
Except how she behaves. And when she gets like an invitation from the WLWL, she declares that the entire building is like filthy and terrible, and that Lionel has to double dust and mow the lawn.
The house looks immaculate, by the way.
There isn't like a fucking speck of dust, but she's like, everything is filthy, you have to clean everything up once more. And all that to join the WLWL.
Please go back to bed, Mum. I'll put them off. It's only the Mathesons.
It's the WLWL.
Yeah, I don't think this movie is for the squeamish, if we didn't make that clear already.
Yeah, there's a lot of gore, body horror, blood.
And zombie sex between a zombie nurse and arguably the coolest priest in fiction, and I'm counting the movie Priest. Funny enough, the first time I saw this with someone, I can't remember who right now, he mentioned that, oh yeah, this is actually what moveset Dante uses in Devil May Cry when he uses physical attacks. And I don't know how true that is, but the red robe, the white hair, did Braindead inspire Devil May Cry?
We're gonna count a yes on that.
Because that is funny.
Yeah.
I think that everyone who has seen it definitely remembers.
Stay back, boy. This calls for divine intervention.
And
I kick ass for the Lord.
those are some of the best scenes.
Yeah. Then we have some of the worst scenes. In my opinion, most of the scenes that are bad are the ones with the uncle.
I get it. I will say in the defense of the movie that it tries to make him look like a bad person. And it does that very well because Lionel's uncle
Oh boy.
fucking sucks on so many levels. Lionel's uncle is a creep. A terrible person. And
Slick
just like
bastard.
a scammer, a slick bastard.
He also sort of tries to sexually assault Lionel's love interest.
He definitely does. Nobody should ever like him, which I feel is a little bit weird because he's also kind of a badass towards
Sort of.
the end. I feel
Yeah.
like that is something that kind of pulls me out of the movie a little bit. I think it would have been more effective if he was just awful.
Yeah, well, he's kind of sort of only a badass for his own winning because he wants to survive himself. That's like the only reason why he's badass.
That is true, but I would have preferred if his badassness was replaced with cowardice.
Yes.
And he was just running away.
Yeah. Like, it wouldn't have made much difference in the movie if he were just a coward.
That is a criticism you can honestly put on the movie. Because it could have just run down to the basement and ended up as the body horror he ends up as. Because this movie has like weird zombie rules. It doesn't really give a shit if you're bitten or not.
As long as you're killed by the zombie, you become a zombie. Like, the prime example of that, I think, is the girl and the light bulb.
The girl on the light bulb, definitely, but also the nurse. So, the zombie rules here, I don't think it matters a lot, because, you know...
It's fun.
Yeah, one thing that people forget about zombies is like, oh, you don't get bit. And that's the only thing they can think about. But, you know, it is way more fun if it's just like, oh, now there are more zombies. How do they become zombies?
Because... And the fucking zombie baby. There's a zombie pregnancy that lasts for what I assume to be like a week, maybe?
I would say maybe 2 days? I don't know. Just suddenly the zombie baby is there. All while Lionel is trying to keep the zombies out of rats because he doesn't want to kill his mother, so he has tied them all down in his basement and feeds them.
Yeah.
I think that's great. There's like another feeding scene before they're tied down in the basement, which has my favorite zombie interaction scene, where they're just eating together.
Yeah. Just a happy family, zombie family. One thing I will say about the movie is the passage of time is really weird. Because,
Yeah, it's unclear.
yeah, there's like 6 months since Lionel seen Paquita. It's just weird, the passage of time. Like, the zombie pregnancy might have been longer than we thought. It also might have been shorter than you think. It might just be somewhere in the middle. It could have been 2 days, 2 hours, 2 years. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, that is a very valid point. I mean, time being a little bit weird, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Just get the
doesn't-
movie on.
Yeah, it doesn't take anything away from the movie,
Yeah,
in my
it's,
opinion.
it's just something you notice.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've talked about everything surrounding Lionel. What about Lionel?
God, this man's goofy. Like, he's...
It feels like a proper like Mr. Rogers kind of guy that turns into a zombie hero. It's a very much like likable mommy's boy, just kind of hero that, you know, you can't really hate because he's just so neutral.
Yeah.
It is extremely engaging though to see him go from being like this nervous mama's boy to someone who wants to be more independent, to someone who has to deal with zombies,
Fucking zombies. And taking care of them.
and then turning into a recluse, and then finally full-on zombie murderer with a lawnmower.
Fuck. Yes. The effects. Oh my god.
I mean, I love them.
Oh, they're so fucking good. The organ puppet is like so fucking good. Like, it doesn't really seem like a puppet. It seems like it's come to life. And
I will say that it seems a little bit like a puppet, but I love it. I mean, it's just some intestines and it farts.
yeah, but like the intestine openings, they look like eyes and a mouth.
I think this movie really shows how brilliant editing can be, and how if you plan something right, it can really elicit the right reaction when you get introduced to the organs. Because when it jumps up on the kitchen counter and sees itself in the mirror, for lack of a better term, it plays the romantic sting while it watches itself, and that kind of immediately endears you to this pile of entrails.
It's literally just a pile of entrails, and it's checking itself out, and it loves it. Also, back to the baby. The fucking stroller scene.
I love that he is both trying to raise this child like the neighboring cart, and you can see all the different measures he has to do, like putting barbed wire on the inside.
There's also not a whole bunch, but there is some realism in the movie.
Putting emphasis on reality where it is funny.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot other in the movie that's realistic.
Your mother ate my dog!
Not all of it.
This movie is like, we're talking about it like not a lot of people have seen it. And sure, there aren't that many people that talk about it. There aren't like a Nerd Writer episode on it, so I'm pretty much sure this is obscure territory. But here's the thing. It did have a major impact in New Zealand cinema. Prior to this, they didn't really have any filmmakers, and Peter Jackson was like, I love movies, I'm gonna make movies, so he made a Bad Taste. The entire Australian government was like looking at the movie and went, people want this garbage?
And they did.
So they started financing him making movies for Australia, which is why Black Sheep is more of a send-up to his movies, and why movies from New Zealand has a deep connection with splatter movies. Another detail I love about this movie. Like, this is a minor thing, but when Paquita decides to break up with Lionel because he's becoming a reclusive, so she starts dating this guy that she was kind of interested in to begin with, who drives around wares, and he used to be good at sports. That's his story. When he's dating Paquita, he's talking about like when he used to be a high school quarterback stuff, and she's laughing along and kind of following him tightly. And then, way later in the movie, they're still walking around, and he's still talking about experiences he had playing sports, and all I can think is like, is this everything they've been talking about for the either weeks or months they've been dating?
And there's also a scene where she just leaves. He keeps on talking. He looks back, sees Paquita's gone. He's just, oh, whatever, fuck her.
Clearly going to talk more with himself about how great he was at sport in middle school. All the side characters here are wild. Even the weird, tiny characters like the veterinarian.
The fucking Nazi veterinarian.
It is weird and uncomfortable whenever he's on screen, but he's also just like a great way of making fun of Nazis as like weird perverts who are corrupt to the bone. We've already talked a little bit about the puppets, but what about the fact that the greaser zombie gets cut in half and both his legs and his top half are zombies?
Yeah, like, if something gets removed from a zombie, it's still sentient.
So like, the only way to really defeat them is to shove them in a blender.
Yes, make zombie juice.
What I'm specifically thinking about is that it must have been so fucking hard to do all of those effects right. There are scenes where the greaser zombie has like his legs over his own neck. And how do you do that when CGI isn't like readily available?
Yeah, there's also a scene when they're in the funeral for the mother. Lionel's mother, of course.
Yeah, which also features Peter Jackson's cameo. You know what I love about that scene though? So Peter Jackson nowadays is usually thought of as like this artistic genius that made Lord of the Rings, and then multiple studios interfered and forced him to make The Hobbit with constant studio notes. And people have that image very clearly in their mind. When I imagine Peter Jackson, I imagine that one scene where he looks at the mother of Lionel just spewing out embalming fluid and him going, that is who Peter Jackson is. He's a weird guy who likes to make weird stuff. So Martin,
No.
you wouldn't recommend it?
Not to people who don't like gore,
Well, that's fair.
but to people who love gore, fuck yeah!
You don't have to love gore to love this movie.
You have to tolerate it at least.
Yeah, you have to tolerate it. I mean, there are scenes where people's entire rib cage is exposed. I would deeply recommend this movie as a masterclass in splatter movies. Just the comedy is excellent, and the entire tone is excellent.
It's also a really great Peter Jackson movie.
It's just an all-around fun movie. There is a reason we watched it every Halloween. And that's because it was just so damn fun.
Subscribe.
And like the video if you liked it, I guess.
I go bash Nazis.
Yeah!
I kick ass for the Lord.